Tonight, there is breaking news right now as we come on the air. A new wildfire has just exploded in Los Angeles County. 55,000 people told to evacuate right now. The image is just in tonight. This fire just north of L.A. Smoke and flames from the Hughes fire filling the sky tonight. Students seen running from a high school. At least 5 schools evacuated. Red flag warnings up at this hour. And what could be a very dangerous night ahead. We'll go live to Matt Gutman. Also tonight, the dangerously cold temperatures and this historic winter storm. Cars stranded. One driver saying she was forced to stay in her car for 15 hours. From Texas to Florida to the Northeast tonight. One man using a flamethrower to melt the ice on the street. The Northeast tonight bracing for wind chills near zero, and Lee Goldberg has the forecast. The deadly shooting at a high school, the harrowing images from inside the school tonight in the Nashville area. Students barricading themselves in classrooms, texting their parents. President Trump set to deploy an additional 1,500 troops to the southern border, what we've learned. Tonight, the fallout from the sweeping January 6th pardons, and this evening, the head of the Oath Keepers now freed and at the Capitol late today. He says he was there to meet with Republican lawmakers. Elon Musk, who has been at President Trump's side, seen in the West Wing, tonight now speaking out against Trump's plan. Trump announcing a $500 billion artificial intelligence project. Musk now saying the money isn't there. The White House now saying listen to Trump, not Musk. Tonight, the passenger jet taking off from Boston, the cockpit and the cabin suddenly filling with smoke just after takeoff, the pilot declaring a mayday. Prince Harry tonight settling his lawsuit with Rupert Murdoch's tabloids, receiving an undisclosed amount of money and a full apology for the alleged hacking of Prince Harry's phone and an apology for tactics used against Princess Diana. And America strong tonight in this brutal cold. You have to see this. In upstate New York, the effort to save the moose on a lake.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a very busy Wednesday night. We do begin tonight with the breaking news. A new wildfire just breaking out in Los Angeles County, exploding in size. This fire just north of L.A. The image is coming in right now. Take a look. 55,000 people are being told to evacuate at this hour with these dangerous Santa Ana winds back and fueling the flames. This is the Hughes fire, spreading 30 acres a minute. Those evacuation orders now underway. Red flag warnings are up. Families racing out, driving perilously close to the flames. Students at Castaic High School running from school with darkening skies overhead. In fact, at least 5 schools are inside the evacuation zone tonight. Take a look at live pictures right now from our station KABC in Los Angeles, right up over the fire. You can see the thick, dark smoke with these winds expected right into the overnight hours. I-5 right there at the bottom of your screen in the beginning there, closed in both directions at this hour. Tonight, those red flag warnings for more than 10 million people, with crews already battling multiple fires. ABC's chief national correspondent Matt Gutman leading us off. He's right there on the scene tonight.
Tonight, squadrons of helicopters attacking a massive new wildfire exploding just north of Los Angeles. Homes threatened, tens of thousands ordered to leave now.
What's really frightening about this fire is how quickly it took off.
The Hughes fire raging out of control in Castaic, devouring 30 acres per minute, fueled by bone-dry conditions and powerful Santa Ana winds. Students running out of this high school, midday skies darkening with smoke and that ominous orange glow. At least 5 schools so far evacuated.
I was really scared because I thought I was going to get really hurt.
And at least 55,000 people in the evacuation zone.
We got our dogs out. My niece, that's a baby that's in here, we got her out.
And what you're seeing is the epic firefight from the sky. Look how low that fire. Helicopters swooping down right over that tree, dousing it right in this area. There have got to be over 100 firefighters here trying to contain this.
Tony Caballero and his neighbors spending hours hosing down their homes.
And I knew it was coming this way. Amber's just going to shoot over this way.
This fire just one of nearly a dozen new wildfires erupting over the past 24 hours in Southern California. Back at the scene of the Hughes fire, residents preparing for the worst.
We've been dealing with this for how long? The fires? It's emotionally exhausting, physically exhausting, and just tough.
David, a monumental amount of resources being thrown at the Hughes fire. You can see the bulldozers over my right shoulder and over my left, the fire cresting that ridge and fire trucks racing towards it right now. And on the other side, there are dozens and dozens of additional engines. But bad news for firefighters. Wind gusts are expected to peak above 50 miles an hour tonight and persist until tomorrow morning. David.
Another dangerous night ahead. Matt Gutman leading us off. Thank you. Of course, much of the rest of the country dealing with dangerously cold temperatures tomorrow morning from the northeast to the south, record lows, wind chills near zero, and tonight the accidents. Cars and trucks off the roads, drivers stranded. One woman saying she was stuck in her car for 15 hours. Trevor Ault in the storm zone.
Tonight, record-breaking Gulf Coast snow and ice from a once-in-a-lifetime storm paralyzing the region, turning parts of the deep south into a frozen tundra. South of Atlanta, authorities finally reopening this stretch of I-75 this morning after a tractor-trailer caught fire Tuesday night.
How long have you been stuck in this traffic?
Probably 15 hours.
15 hours? So
Yes,
you had
sir.
to spend the night in your vehicle?
Yes, sir.
And overnight north of Atlanta, icy chaos, drivers helplessly sliding and crashing. And in Louisiana, authorities shutting down more than 100 miles of the crucial Interstate 10 in both directions from Baton Rouge all the way to the Texas state line. All-time snowfall record shattered from New Orleans, where they got at least 8 inches of snow, to the Pensacola area, where they got nearly 9.
And David, officials are warning all this snow could freeze overnight, then melt and freeze again, creating a cycle of dangerous and potentially deadly driving conditions. David.
Trevor Ault with us here tonight. Trevor, thank you. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg of our New York station, WABC, tracking, of course, the dangerous cold and the Santa Ana winds in Los Angeles. He's got it all tonight. And Lee, this dangerous cold again tonight and tomorrow morning.
And David, typically with a rare southern snow, you don't have much evidence of it a day or two later. Not this time. Record snow and record cold. Extreme cold warnings from Mobile to Tallahassee. Cold weather advisories from New Orleans all the way to Norfolk. So waking up tomorrow morning, you're looking at wind chills that are going to be in the teens and 20s. And then it's sub-zero from Minneapolis all the way to Maine. Yes, there's moderation, but it's painfully slow. It's like pulling teeth. It's cold through the end of the week. We do have some moderation by the weekend. In fact, Houston could go from snow yesterday to 60s and thunderstorms by the time we get to Sunday. Now out west, fueling that new Hughes fire. It's winds gusting in the mountains over 65 miles an hour. The red flag warnings will take us into Thursday. Maybe some relief over the weekend. David?
Lee Goldberg back with us tonight. Lee, thank you. There has been a deadly high school shooting in the Nashville area. Students barricading themselves in classrooms. The horror playing out at Antioch High School. Heavily armed officers rushing to the school. Tonight, the harrowing images from inside the school. ABC's Alex Perez on the scene for us.
Tonight, this is the terrifying moment inside a Nashville area high school cafeteria, seen in a video posted on Citizen app, when police say 17-year-old student Solomon Henderson opened fire with a pistol, killing 16-year-old Jocelyn Escalante.
He entered into the cafeteria, firing multiple rounds in the cafeteria, striking her, and then before pulling the weapon on himself.
Another male student was grazed by a bullet. Just after 11 a.m., SWAT teams is swarming Antioch High School with nearly 2,000 students inside.
All of a sudden, we was hearing, oh, it's a shooting. And then everybody was just panicking. And
Frantic students barricading themselves in classrooms.
We had tables, desks, chairs. We had the method where you put a chair inside the door where you lock it down.
Family and friends flooded with texts from students inside.
He was sitting at a table right next to the shooter, and when the shooter brought out his gun, he would start waving it at the students before he shot the 2 students. Outside, a massive crowd of parents desperate to reunite with their children.
My son is not going here no more. No, this is devastating, and they won't even let me go get him.
Frantic. I mean, just chaos. Chaos, complete chaos.
And David, police now combing through the shooter's online activity, looking for a motive and also working to determine if he may have been motivated by other shootings or extremists. David?
Alex Perez reporting in tonight. Thank you, Alex. There's also breaking news involving the southern border tonight. President Trump set to deploy an additional 1,500 troops to the border. Here's our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, on what those troops will do.
Tonight, up to 1,500 troops, a mix of active duty Army and Marines, heading to the southern border after the president declared a national emergency.
And I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country.
The troops given 24 hours to deploy, military police units, combat engineers, and intelligence specialists to aid with detection and monitoring, according to the Pentagon. Troops also tasked with helping to construct physical barriers along the border. But a military official insists none will participate in law enforcement. Also part of the effort, military aircraft to support deportation flights. We asked the new White House press secretary what to expect.
Caroline, what are they doing on the border? What is their mission exactly? Securing the southern border and deporting illegal immigrants from this country. You will be returned home. You will be arrested. You will be prosecuted. Do not come.
The surge in forces comes as the situation on the border has improved steadily since former President Biden announced new asylum restrictions last spring. Encounters between Border Patrol and migrants down 60%. Today's move just part of Trump's promised immigration crackdown. Refugee arrivals to the U.S. now suspended until further notice. The app used by migrants to make appointments to seek asylum shut down. Tens of thousands of migrants who had appointments now in limbo. Trump also declaring an end to birthright citizenship, even though it's protected by the 14th Amendment. 22 states and 2 cities have now filed lawsuits to block the move, estimating that some 150,000 children could be impacted each year.
And David, tonight the Pentagon hasn't put a dollar figure yet on how much this operation on the border will cost, but it will likely be hefty. And tonight a senior official telling us this is just the start. David.
Mary Bruce live at the White House. Mary, thank you. Tonight the fallout from President Trump's sweeping January 6 pardons, and this evening the head of the Oath Keepers, who has now been freed, up at the Capitol late today. He says he was there to meet with Republican lawmakers, and Rachel Scott is there.
Tonight, the backlash against President Donald Trump's decision to pardon the rioters who attacked police officers on January 6th is growing. Capitol Police Officer Daniel Hodges, who the world saw screaming for help, now joining other officers and Democrats to denounce the president's move.
I was beaten, crushed, kicked, punched, surrounded. Someone reached underneath my visor, tried to gouge out my eye. And all these people were just pardoned by Donald Trump, who says that they were the real victims, that they were the patriots. I don't understand how anyone can believe that.
But tonight, an astonishing sight back on Capitol Hill. The leader of the far-right militia group, the Oath Keepers, Stuart Rhodes. He was serving an 18-year sentence for seditious conspiracy for his role in January 6 before Trump commuted his sentence. Rhodes telling me he is here meeting with Republican members of Congress.
Do you have any regrets for any of your actions on January 6th?
My actions? No.
Tonight, in a rare move, some of the federal judges who heard the cases of some of the 1,500 January 6 rioters speaking out. Judge Tanya Chutkan saying Trump's move cannot whitewash the blood, feces, and terror that the mob left in its wake. And it cannot repair the jagged breach in America's sacred tradition of peacefully transitioning power. The president defends his decision.
At least the cases that we looked at, these were people that actually love our country, so we thought a pardon would be appropriate, yeah.
But Judge Beryl Howes saying this court cannot let stand the revisionist myth relayed in this presidential pronouncement, adding that it raises the dangerous specter of future lawless conduct by other poor losers and undermines the rule of law. USA! Tonight, some of the rioters' pardons sounding emboldened. Jacob Chansley, who wore that horned headdress in the Capitol, posting, "Thank you, President Trump. Now I'm going to buy some expletive guns." Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson defending President Trump's pardons.
We believe in redemption. We believe in second chances.
But another Republican, Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, was blunt.
And so when you have blanket pardons for everyone, including those that engaged in violent acts of destruction and harm to people, and then you just blanket pardon all of them without consequence, I think that sends a horrible message to our law enforcement officers.
And David, we should note tonight that a recent poll showed the majority of Americans, 57%, oppose President Donald Trump pardoning those rioters. When we were out on the campaign trail, voters told us their top issues were the economy, the price of groceries, and the crisis at our southern border. David.
Rachel Scott live up on the Hill for us. Rachel, thank you. There's also news tonight involving Elon Musk. He's been at President Trump's side for months, even seen in the West Wing before President Trump had arrived. But tonight, Musk is now speaking out against Trump's new plan. The president announced it just 24 hours ago, announcing a $500 billion artificial intelligence project. Well, tonight, Musk saying the money isn't there. The White House saying listen to Trump, not Musk. Here's John Carl.
Elon Musk is already a fixture in the Trump White House. He was actually spotted inside the West Wing even before President Trump got there on day one. But now Musk is publicly attacking the big initiative Trump just announced with great fanfare, a $500 billion AI project with tech CEOs.
This is, to me, a very big thing, $500 billion Stargate project. I think it's going to be something that's very special.
Trump declared it would create 100,000 jobs almost immediately. But hours later, Musk dismissed the whole thing, saying the tech investors Trump stood with don't actually have the money. And he reposted another takedown that called the announcement, quote, ridiculous, and that, quote, no one should take it seriously. Sam Altman, the artificial intelligence pioneer who made the announcement with Trump, has clashed with Musk before, tonight firing back with a message for Musk saying, I realize what is great for the country isn't always what is optimal for your companies, but in your new role, I hope you'll mostly put America first.
Today, the new White House press secretary said people should believe Donald Trump about this, not Elon Musk. As for Musk, he was back at work at the White House today, spotted once again, David, in the West Wing.
All right, John Carl in Washington. John, thanks. Tonight, President Trump placing all federal diversity, equity, and inclusion staff on paid administrative leave. Their offices shut down in Washington. The president moving quickly to dismantle all DEI programs on the federal level and encouraging the private sector to follow his lead. When we come back here tonight, there is news coming in. A passenger jet out of Boston, smoke filling the cockpit and cabin right after takeoff. The pilots declaring a mayday. In New York City tonight, the arrest for counterfeit Botox from China, patients who have allegedly been sickened by this. And in this brutal cold, the remarkable images from upstate New York tonight. The effort to save a moose that broke through the ice on a lake, and you'll see it. Tonight, the scare on board a passenger plane taking off from Boston to Hong Kong. The cockpit and cabin both filling up. The Cathay Pacific flight filling with smoke about 30 minutes after takeoff. The pilots issuing a mayday, dumping fuel. That passenger jet then returning safely to Logan Airport. When we come back tonight, the arrest involving counterfeit Botox, the man accused of sickening patients after injecting them with Botox from China, and the effort to save the 1,000-pound moose in New York. To the index of other news, in New York City, a suspect under arrest tonight for allegedly injecting patients with counterfeit Botox from China and without a license. Prosecutors say the man knowingly imported fake Botox to his medical spa. They say several patients were sickened. A major victory for Prince Harry tonight, settling his lawsuit against British tabloids owned by Rupert Murdoch. Murdoch's news group issuing a full apology for, quote, serious intrusions into his private life, including the alleged hacking of Prince Harry's phone. Also apologizing for tactics used against Princess Diana, the company agreeing to pay an undisclosed amount. When we come back here tonight, the all-out effort to save the moose, and you'll see it. Finally tonight here, saving the moose. Tonight, with the brutal cold sweeping this country, one remarkable effort in upstate New York to save a moose on a lake trapped in the frigid waters. Authorities getting a call about the moose that broke through the ice on Lake Abenaki in the town of Indian Lake. Immediately, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation forest rangers and the Environmental Conservation police officers springing into action to get the moose out, using chainsaws to carve a path, moving blocks of ice.
Come on, you can do it.
Carefully coaxing the moose to try to get to an area of ice thick enough to support the 1,000-pound moose. Incredibly, the moose able to get up out of the water and onto that ice, and then the moose walking away. Right here tonight, the rescuers.
Good evening, David. This is Lieutenant Robert Higgins.
Good evening, David. Ranger Matt Severy.
Hey, David. Forest Ranger Evan Nahor up here in the beautiful Adirondacks.
The team that saved the moose.
We had to work together, create a plan, use a little backwoods know-how.
It's not every day that you get to rescue a moose from a frozen lake.
To see it shake off and stand up and walk its way into the woods was just quite the sight to see.
The moose probably in the woods having a beer somewhere, watching himself on the news. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.